today will be simplifying radicals, square and cube roots. So to simplify a square root, you first determine the factors. In this instance, it's 32. 1 and 32, 2 and 16, and 4 and 8 are the factors of 32. Which of these factors are perfect squares? Well, 16 is a perfect square and 4. So we'll go with the largest one, 16. So instead of writing the square root of 32, we write the square root of 16 times the square root of 2. We can simplify the square root of 16 to 4 and then square roots of 2. So the square root of 32 simplified is 4 square roots of 2. Similar process with simplifying cube roots. So here we have the cube root of 54 and the factors of 54, 1 and 54, 2 and 27, 3 and 18, and 6 and 9. So what are these factors? The biggest perfect cube we have is 27. So the cube root of 27 times the cube root of 2 equals the cube root of 54. The cube root of 27 is 3, and we can't simplify this cube root of 2, so this cube root of 54 simplifies to 3 cube roots of 2. So we're going to first go down and do the odd numbers, which are the square roots, and then we'll go back and do the even, the cube roots. So to simplify the cube root of 24, here are our perfect squares. Are any of these perfect squares factors of 24? Four is a factor of 24 and a perfect square. So we're going to rewrite the square root of 24 into the square root of 4 times the square root of 6. We're going to simplify the square root of 4, and that's going to be 2 square roots of 6. The square root of 27. Here are the factors of 27, 1 and 27, and 3 and 9. Are any of these perfect squares a factor of 27? Well, 9 is a factor of 27 and a perfect square, so I can rewrite the square root of 27 to be the square root of 9 times the square root of 3, which is 3 square roots of 3. Number 5, I have negative 5 times the square root of 18. So I'm going to simplify the square root of 18 and then multiply anything outside, the coefficient outside, by negative 5. So here are the factors of 18, 1 and 18, 2 and 9, and 3 and 6. Are any of these factors perfect squares? Well, 9 is a perfect square and a factor of 18. So 2 and 9. So I'm going to rewrite the square root of 18 as the square root of 9 times the square root of 2. I'm just going to bring down this negative 5, then negative 5 times the square root of 9 times the square root of 2. I can simplify the square root of 9 to 3. So outside the radicand, I have the negative 5 times 3 times the square root of 2, which simplifies to negative 15 times the square root of 2. Number 7, we have the square root of a negative 64. And remember, square roots are whole numbers. So our solution here is no real number because you can't take the square root of a negative number. Now let's simplify some cube roots. We'll go back up to number 2, the cube root of 56. Well, first let's look at the factors of 56. 1 and 56, 2 and 28, 4 and 14, and 7 and 8. Are any of the factors of 56 a perfect cube? 8 is a factor of 56, and 8 is a perfect cube. So now I can rewrite and simplify. This cube root of 8 times the square cube root of 7. The cube root of 8 is 2. So the cube root of 56 simplifies to 2 cube roots of 7. Number 4, the cube root of 40. Here are the factors of 40, and here are some perfect cubes. Are any of these factors a perfect cube? Well, 8 is a perfect cube, and 8 is a factor of 40. So instead of writing the cube root of 40, I can write the cube root of 8 times the cube root of 5. I can simplify the cube root of 8 to 2. So the cube root of 40 simplifies to 2 cube roots of 5. Number 6, negative 7 times the cube root of 16. Here are the factors of 16. Here are the perfect cubes. Are any of the perfect cubes factors of 16? 8 is a factor and a perfect cube. So I can rewrite this as negative 7 times the cube root of 8 times the cube root of 2. I can simplify the cube root of 8 to 2. So negative 7 times 2 times the cube root of 2, which simplifies to negative 14 cube roots of 2. Now we're going to, cube roots are integers, so we can have a negative number under the radicand. So let's simplify the cube root of 64. So 64 is a perfect cube. So the cube root of negative 64 is negative 4. We're going to always factor out the negative under the radicand because the cube root of negative 1 is equal to negative 1. So I could have rewritten this as the cube root of negative 1 times the cube root of 64. The cube root of negative 1 is negative 1, and the cube root of 64 is 4, and then that would equal negative 4. That's how you simplify cube and square roots.